As the snow gracefully fell over a small town, a young girl called Alma was skipping through an alleyway. Crunch, crunch, crunch as she skipped and hopped through the thick patches of snow. Alma could feel the snow falling on her and she was as cold as a popsicle. Alma saw lots of buildings, but one with a monster-like window that grabbed her attention. Alma thought it was strange. Alma turned to her right, away from the monster window, and skidded to a stop, because she saw a chalkboard. Alma walked up to the chalkboard and picked up an old, crusty, crumbly, crackly piece of chalk. Screech, screech as she wrote Alma on the blackboard with a ton more names on the board. Alma then heard a turning noise behind her. Alma slowly turned around and walked steadily up to the creepy monster face window. Clank, clank. She then wiped the window to see what was inside. She sighs in shock and then is super duper happy. Alma saw a doll in the big bold window. Alma realized the doll looked exactly like her. Alma looked at the doll for a bit and then herself. But when she had looked up, the doll had disappeared. Alma looked closer into the window and saw the doll on a display table in the middle of the shop. The door handle went clank clank as Alma tried opening the door. The door wouldn't budge, so she stood there with her arms crossed and annoyed like a rampaging bull. Alma decided to throw a snowball at the door. Screech, screech as she walked off. All of a sudden, she heard a creak and a ding. Alma turned back around to the door to see the door open. She then walked back to the door slowly but steadily like a sloth. Alma then walked inside. Creak, creak. Alma walked up to the doll when all of a sudden she stepped on something. Alma looked down and saw a small doll on a bike. She reached down and put it back on its wheels. Clang, clang as it rolled off. Alma looked up to the doll and it had disappeared again. Alma was confused why it disappeared, so she looked around to see it on a shelf with a ton more dolls. She then started to walk over to the shelf. She got to the shelf and started to climb up. As Alma climbed, dolls moved their eyes and stared at her with no emotion. Alma was about to touch the doll, so she took off her glove. After Alma took off her glove, she reached for the doll and touched it. Alma saw what looked to be the doll take her soul. When she first opened her eyes, she thought she was fine, but when she blinked, she heard a click. She looked at herself and then realized she was inside the doll.